And there we go. We're live on YouTube now. So hi, everybody over on YouTube. Welcome in. And if you're watching this live or if you're watching this later as a recording, please go ahead and put your name and location into the comments. And we would love to welcome you here. So everybody, we are gathering today with my dear friend and beautiful, beautiful, wonderful teacher, Baljit Rayat. So welcome, Baljit. We are so excited to be here with you today.
Hmm. Thank you so much for having me. So honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it is so wonderful to have you here. And Baljit is going to be giving an amazing presentation on the hidden power of sexual energy. Unlock your vitality, confidence, and creativity from within. So we will get to that very, very soon. We're all so excited about this topic. And Baljit, I know you have so much to share.
Mhm.
And so, everyone, we want to welcome you as you are coming in here. So, welcome Shauna in Spain. Welcome Belinda in the UK. Welcome Christelle in Los Angeles. Janelle in Canada. Eleanor in Vancouver Island. Louise in Panama. Mondi in Texas. Catherine in Portland, Oregon. Land of the Frogs. Wow. Welcome Jen in Arizona and so many more from all around the world. Welcome, Tracy, in down under Australia. I know it must be very early in the morning for you, so thank you for being here at this time. And thank you, everyone who's on with us live, as well as those who are watching later as a recording. We are so happy to have you here. And this presentation today is brought to you by the Quantum School. And in the Quantum School, we take a stand for global sovereignty and sacred financial freedom. We are just so honored and delighted to bring you beautiful free offerings like this one today, as well as groundbreaking courses from visionary teachers and global thought leaders. I am Jocelyn Starfeather. I'm the founder of Sacred Planet and the Quantum School. And gatherings like this one would not be possible without all of you who are here and who are gathering with us. So thank you all so much for being here. And this also would not be possible without Kathleen and Anna, our amazing multi-galactic course managers who are right here with us on the call. So thank you, Kathleen and Anna, for all that you do to make this quantum school magic happen. So let me introduce you as well. Baljit, I know that many of the people on the call today know you, but some may not know you yet. So Baljit is a certified sexologist, authentic Tantra practitioner, Akashic guide, intuitive mentor, DJ, and producer. Committed to raising the vibration of humanity, Baljit has worked with thousands of people worldwide to uplevel their lives by uncovering the truths of who they are to the core, creating profound results in their businesses and relationships. She believes everything in this world is energy, and getting to the root of desire by connecting people back to their sexual power causes a powerful ripple that spans all areas of life. And I know you're going to tell us a lot more about that today and take us into a beautiful experience to explore this. And I want to let everybody know that I'm going to turn it over to Baljit, and we will have a Q&A at the end as well. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat as the question comes up for you, or you can put it in the chat at the end when we get to the Q&A, but we definitely do want to get to your questions. So with that, Baljit, take it away and everybody enjoy.
Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for that beautiful intro, Jocelyn. Welcome, everyone. I'm so honored to be here and to share this beautiful transmission with you in regards to our sexual energy. And when we think about sexual energy, it can be a very daunting topic, very misunderstood topic, and also can be very triggering. And that's due to the layers of programming, of shame, of misunderstanding, and so many other things wrapped around it. So, even bringing up the term sexual energy, there are so many that don't really understand exactly what that is, and I'm here to share that with you. So I'm really honored that you're all here. And before we even go deeper, I just want you to just take a nice, deep, big breath in And just bringing all that energy from the head space, bringing it down to the heart, down into the belly, and down into the sacral. So that whatever is shared today, you are really receiving this transmission fully. And also asking that we remove any distractions. So if you have other browsers open or you're scrolling on social media, other things, maybe put those away. Um, because those are the subconscious things that can arise when we talk about sexual energy. It's like, ooh, let me look over here, or let me go over here. And this is giving the sacred space for all of you to just be held, to be really received and supported in this beautiful container, and giving yourself that space to receive. And so, in regards to sexual energy, this goes beyond the act of sex, right? Someone can have a lot of sex, but it doesn't mean that they're actually really connected to their sexual energy. Those are two different things. Because if, the act of sex, for example, is done just through performing, just through fantasy, or touch, but the person is very disconnected from their sexual energy, they're actually really disconnected from their truth and disconnected from self. And when we're really connected to our sexual energy, we're awakening our presence, we're really awakening our truth and our deepest connection to self. And so, sexual energy is your creative life force. What fuels your creativity. It's your vitality, it's your intuition, and it is your full presence. And it shapes how you are grounded in your body. It shapes how you express yourself. When we think about our throat, our larynx, it actually is parallel to the yoni. And the yoni means sacred space, the womb. So the vaginal canal, the cervix, and the uterus. So if we are contracted in the womb space, and even for men, if they're contracted in their sacral center, then this part gets contracted, including our expression, how we express in the world. And sexual energy is how alive you feel in everyday day to life. Um, so, in that energy moves through your breath, your emotions. It influences how you receive pleasure, and not just sexual pleasure. It's also uh, sensations, taste, sound, touch as well. And how often do we not allow ourselves to really enjoy pleasure? Because if you were raised in survival mode, then that that survival mode impacts you receiving pleasure, which then also impacts your sexual energy. It also influences inspiration, connection, boundaries, healthy boundaries, and how confident you feel in your body. So, not only does sexual energy, fuel your creativity and intuition, but it actually is connected to your sensuality and your purpose and your gifts. And why is that? When you're deeply connected to your sexual energy, you're connected to the deepest truth of who you really are, right? And when you're connected to who you really are, you are naturally aligned to your mission. You're naturally aligned to expressing your divine gifts and talents. There's no doubt, there's no questioning of your gifts and talents. You just innately start to express it. And this aliveness comes through where you are out of autopilot when you're deeply connected to your sexual energy. So, sexual energy is not something that you use, it's actually something that you embody. And when it stems through trauma, conditioning, and disconnect, it affects all layers of your life, not just in the bedroom, but also in business, also in relationships, and even female relationships, relationships with men, relationships of just how you show up in life. Okay. And so everything like your clarity, your energy levels, your creativity, your magnetism, your confidence, your relationships, your sense of purpose, all of that relates to your sexual energy. And so it's really important to de-armor and de-shame and redefine what sexual energy actually is. And I like to call it the universal truth versus the human truth. And the universal truth goes beyond the human truth. The human truth is what got projected onto us through societal programming, parental, cultural, religious programming, and so on, and transgenerational programming. We take on all these conditionings. So when you really connect to the universal truth of sexual energy, you're coming from that place of your divine truth and not the conditioning that you were programmed into. And so there's different influences that um, the hidden power of influence of your vitality, your creativity, and your presence. So these three things are very important. And once you understand what sexual energy really is, you really understand how um, your vitality, like your libido, but just your energy levels really connect with that. This also relates to hormones, by the way. So if you are going through perimenopause, menopause as well, these is all very interrelated to uh, energy, our sexual energy. And usually the symptoms of like hot flashes, um, night sweats, cold flush, all that stuff is related to stuck sexual energy. Even other things such as PCOS, um, fibroids, all that has to do with stuck sexual energy. So I'm really looking at this in a very holistic lens of how sexual energy really dictates who we really are. And when we don't connect with it, how it really affects our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, and even our spiritual body as well. So when we look at sexual energy and our vitality, sexual energy is your life force. It's your creative life force. And when you're flowing, you feel more grounded, you feel more alive, you feel more available in your body. You have more stamina, you have more clear energy, and you actually have a deeper capacity to meet life without actually feeling drained. Okay. And this is important because when you really connect to this piece, it also means you're releasing energetics that made you feel drained. Maybe you were like a people pleaser, that you always overgive. We have all these different little dynamics and programming that stick to us that drains our sexual energy subconsciously and consciously. And we participate in that because that's all we've ever known. That's what we've been raised with. And so when sexual energy is suppressed or fragmented, you'll feel either fatigued or burned out. You can feel low motivation. You can feel scattered or disconnected. You can have a hard time staying in your body, being present. You may notice that you're in your head a lot, you analyze, and low libido. I've dealt with women who literally believe that they don't have, God just never gave them this energy. And the truth is, you all have this energy. It's with the de-armoring, it's with deprogramming you slowly and gently at your soul's readiness, right? We're all very different. We're all very unique. We all have our own stories, right? And so with patience, with gentleness, with compassion, we're able to de-armor and really deeply connect to our sexual energy. And so vitality is not just physical, it's also that quality of that eternal flame that just gets you going. And that's the other thing that I hear from a lot of women specifically is that they feel like they've lost that flame. Or, maybe your kids graduated and now you're no longer now you're just left with like, oh, what do I do with my life? My identity, right? We think about identity and what do we do? How do I reignite this flame? Because I've used all this nurturance towards my kids or towards this. And so this is really about you and reconnecting to that deeper part of yourself. And then we go into sexual energy and creativity, right? So, sexual energy and creativity both emerge from the same sacral center, the energetic space that connects to your emotional body. And when this center is open and flowing, it naturally activates that inner fire, which fuels both your creative expression and your sexual vitality. So you feel inspired, you feel imaginative, you feel expressive, you feel connected to new ideas and possibilities. And you're really able to create from the embodied place and not from pressure or overthinking or doing it from a place of performing. It's like, no, this is you being the conduit, the channel of your creative life force. But when this energy is dim, when your sexual energy is dim, you'll notice your creativity feels blocked or it feels forced or you feel like it's inconsistent. And this is why reconnecting with your sexual energy ignites your creative flow. And this is also speaking to some of you that are like, well, I'm not really creative in general. Like I don't paint, I don't dance. Creativity relates to everything. It could be something that you are guided to create through software. And so we all have creation energy. So when I speak about creation energy, it's not just creativity as like dancing, painting, and, I mean, that is a big aspect of it, but it's also about your creation energy. What is it that you're meant to create on this planet? And what are you going to do with that? It's abundant. There's so many things, so, right? So I want you to really expand that feeling and thinking around creation and your sexual energy. And then presence. This one's a biggie. So, presence really deeply impacts everything and how your body responds to life. Um, and when you're really present in your body, you respond to life in a place of truth rather than the old survival patterns. We've all been through stuff, right? And this is also things that have happened to us in a non-sexual way. Repressed sexual energy doesn't necessarily mean that it's due to only sexual trauma. This can also be non-sexually related that impacted our nervous system that said, we're not safe to be in our body, or it's not safe to be seen. And when that happens, that represses your sexual energy naturally, because when you really connect to your sexual energy, you're being visible. And so if there's a programming that says, no, it's not safe to be seen, subconsciously and consciously, you'll end up repressing that energy. So sexual energy really, influences your magnetism and how grounded you feel in conversations and relationships, right? Like, are you in your head? Are you in your heart? Are you dropped in your sacral when you're connecting? Um, it also allows you to be very clear on your boundaries. There's a difference between boundaries and barriers. Barriers are kind of like a wall where you have like a tiny little peephole, but you're you can only see like one little opportunity. Where if you think about a boundary, think of it as like a crystalline bubble, and you can see all the opportunities, but you get to choose who and what you want to participate with, right? So when there's safety in your body, in your womb, in that sacral space, then naturally you're able to express your boundaries. And even energetically, without even having to say anything, there are healthy boundaries. Okay. Also, your confidence, your self worth, and the quality of your emotional expression. When it's repressed, right, you can become more anxious. You might overthink a lot, overanalyze, or you feel shut down. You might actually feel disconnected from your intuition or unable to feel your body. So, this specifically, especially if you're someone that does a lot of energy work, I've worked with a lot of women who work with a lot of galactic energies or just even in the Akashic Records and other energy modalities. And if you're always in the ethers and the energetics, but then not actually uh, integrating physically in the body, then there's not a full integration that happens of feeling safe in expressing your gifts and talents. And that is like a really massive common thing that happens around a lot of people that I work with around energy healing and working in those realms is it feels so safe to be there. But how do we bring safety here? How do we connect them both? Right? So this is really important to reflect on because this is about your presence and it's about self-trust. Like self-trust is huge. So this all matters, your vitality, your creativity, and your presence. And that is the foundation of your confidence, your intuition, your magnetism that naturally aligns you in expressing your purpose, your mission, your gifts, and your talents. And this really begins with doing the inner work, right? Um, and so when we recognize our patterns and we don't know what we don't know, I didn't know what I didn't know. When we have a safetiness to be in that container, to be like, wow, I did not realize that the way that I repressed my sexual energy really relates to how I've been not being able to set healthy boundaries, how that has created a lack of abundance, how that also related to me pushing people away and always feeling alone and never feeling like I belong on this planet. This is how deep sexual energy goes. This is about the belonging of being here as well, because you were born from sex, through sex, the act of sex, right? And depending on how that creation happened, and this is how you were birthed through, so you get to recreate that story for yourself. And there are different ways of the patterning that we've been impacted um, around our sexual energy. There's the collective programming, there's ancestral, and then there's our own personal patterns. And the collective programming, you know, usually deals with how we were taught around sex, such as the entertainment industry or what we were taught in school. I'm sure a lot of you were not taught in sex education around what sexual energy really is, right? We were taught, I know most of you, or most of me, most for me and most of the people that I connected with, it's like, yeah, we were just told here's what you do when you get your bleed or your period and you don't get pregnant, right? So much fear has been projected around sexual energy. When we think about pornography and other energetics that have really inverted sexual energy, okay? These are massive things that we don't even realize that we have taken on collectively that have disconnected us from our body and also numbing us for our emotional intuitive centers. And also depending on the outside world to tell us what it is that we innately know is inside of our bodies. We have that wisdom. This is the other thing too. I've also dealt with women who have had horrible birthing experiences. And this is for the moms out there. If you've had some major traumatic birthing experience where you actually knew in your gut, and that was gaslit by, let's just say the medical doctors or whatever, that creates trauma itself because this has to do with how you birth things into the world. So, giving that space for you to understand where any kind of experience you've had of violation or feeling gaslit for wanting to trust your intuition, what was going on deep down in your sacral, bringing back that innate knowing, the wisdom. Your womb space is the wisdom keeper, okay? So collective energy has so much has had so much control over inverting sexual energy. Also, guilt and shame projected from religious programming, cultural programming, hey, governmental programming. There's all sorts of programming collectively that have been projected, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. And then we don't think about ancestral patterns. Ancestral patterns are transgenerational programming that feels so strong. And it could be silence, it could be shame, it could be survival, repression, the fear of being seen, fear of desire, power, unresolved trauma, or generational burnout. So when your ancestors didn't feel safe, right, to be in their body or didn't have the safety or freedom to express themselves, that pattern gets carried forward like in very subtle ways. So especially in the sacral centers. So you might not even be realizing that you're not only processing your own grief, but you're processing ancestral grief or fears around intimacy, fears around expression or being too much or suppressing your emotions or desires because that's what you were taught. Um, that's the transgenerational programming that you don't express your emotions or desires. It's a safety thing for survival. Um, and that the belief of pleasure or creative expression is unsafe or that it's meant to only be for procreation, right? Religious programming. So these are ancestral imprints and only a few examples that can actually dim your sexual energy without you even consciously choosing it. You just were born into it. And also know that you have that ability to de-armor it, recognize that. And the most powerful thing about this is when you start to de-armor, when you start to deprogram, it naturally creates a powerful ripple effect of not only within you, but within your relationships and beyond, even for those that have crossed over. And then we have personal patterns. So these can be parental projections, right? How we were raised, um, emotional suppressions, trauma. I go back to non-sexual or sexual related trauma, the fear of being vulnerable, attachment wounding, overgiving. So we have these different levels of trauma responses, and fawning is one of them. Fawning is a form of people pleasing. That was like a big one for me personally that made me realize, oh, wow, this is where I've been misdirecting my sexual energy of nurturing other people to feel safe. And how many of you do that? Sometimes we don't even realize that we misdirect our sexual energy. And misdirecting our sexual energy is misdirecting it so that it is fulfilling an unmet need. And that unmet need is, maybe emotional safety or maybe you had emotional neglect. So you're trying to get that unmet need of emotional connection, safety, or maybe it's like physical connection. So we all have different levels of unmet needs that also impact how we direct our sexual energy. And so when your truth is suppressed, your body will contract in the way that your sexual energy will contract in a way to protect you. So once you release these personal patterns, you'll start to even feel safer in your body, but more relaxed. You'll feel less anxious. You feel more connected. You'll notice even your relationships shift. And you're like, oh, I realize that I've been taking up a lot of space here, but I actually need to be here. And usually, sometimes those fears of shifting our sexual energy is like we don't know what the unknown is. There's also the fear of the unknown. But what if the fear of the unknown is the greatest thing that's on the other side? And that it's just actually waiting for you. And all you need to do is to gently and safely de-armor. So all of this is really important to look at when we think about sexual energy. And nothing is wrong with you, no matter where you are at on your journey. Again, I say each and every one of you are very unique. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different programming. And this powerful connection of our sexual energy, I really look at this as the main dish versus the side dish. When we really start to look at it as the main dish, as going straight to the womb, going straight to that energy, it's like, oh, the wisdom is all here. It's not outside of us, it's within us. So just want you to take a nice deep big breath in. Just feel that dropping in for some of you, or most of you there. Beautiful. And take another deep big breath in. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just guide you into the Akashic space. And if you don't feel like participating, that's okay. You can just sit in the energy. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to allow the Akashic Record Keepers to um, share the message for the collective, for all of you, of what's needed in connecting back to the womb space, but also have you guide yourself as well. Okay. So when you're ready, take another deep big breath in, bringing all the energy from the headspace, bringing it down through the throat, down to the heart. Ooh, yeah, down to the sacral. If you feel like your heart's jumping, that's okay. We're also going to ask that any and all interferences are transmuted across all dimensions, spaces, times, throughout all of self-consciousness, through every cell of your being. Asking that you only receive the purest and highest information and guidance for your soul, for your womb, for your sacral space at this moment in time. And taking another deep, big breath in. Just going to ask to open up the records, and you can have one hand on your heart if you feel like putting the other hand on your sacral, your womb space, or the sacral space. Beautiful. If you feel any emotions come up, allow it to come up. Just notice the sensations in the body. Taking another deep, big breath in, moving some of that nervous energy in the belly, bringing it down into the sacral. remembering to breathe. And we're going to ask your womb space or your sacral space, what does my sexual energy want me to know in this moment? And you're going to ask yourself that, going down into that sacral space, allowing the message to come up to you. And you might feel it energetically, you might feel it auditorily, you might see it visually, or you might just feel a sensation. So if you're not getting anything, notice a sensation that you're feeling. And it's okay if you're like, I don't know if I see anything. That's okay. If you're not too sure, take another deep, big breath in. Bring that energy down to the sacral and kind of command that energy lovingly and gracefully in truth, just saying truth. What does my sexual energy want me to know in this moment? Please show me. Please reveal it to me in this moment. So I'm just going to give you space to receive that message. Beautiful. And as you receive that message, allowing yourself to fully breathe that in. Allowing that to land in your body. And if in this moment you're not too sure, that's okay. We're just going to set the intention that you receive that message before the end of the day. Beautiful. Awesome. So taking another deep, big breath in, I'm just going to close the records. And we're just going to close the record, setting the intention that all the shifts and releases are done with love, ease, joy, and grace so that the outcome is more than what you could ever ask for. If you have some water with you, take a sip of water. Take a nice deep big breath in. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to do a little sip myself. That was literally just a little invitation into the record so that you could just get that beautiful transmission, just that nice hug. Um, but obviously, for continuing, we'll definitely go deeper. Yeah, beautiful. And so, lastly, this leads to the collective of the transformational bit, right? When we really connect to our sexual energy, our personal transformation relates to how we show up collectively, right? And it allows us to be really grounded in our purpose and in our gifts and in our talents. And that's how we are really able to support the collective. So it's very massive when we really go within and deep within that sacral energy Everything else is a ripple effect, and that's where the collective transformation happens because we're honoring our truth and then it gets reflected back. We reclaim our own creative power, it gets reflected back. We feel safe in our own sacral center, it gets reflected back. So we become the activation for other people. Okay. So closing that off, I'm just going to bring Jocelyn in here to share the next piece, which I'm super stoked for.
Thank you so much, Baljit, for this beautiful, beautiful experience, beautiful share. And it's so powerful to really look at. And I know from the comments, so many people resonated with these experiences in our lives that you spoke about. And I resonated with many of them that make us want to separate from that sexual energy or shut it down or whatever that might be, right? For all these different reasons. And yeah, it's just so powerful to bring our presence and our awareness to that and begin to shift it and see what opens up. So thank you so much for bringing this to us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
I can really feel the power of it. And so, everybody, we would love to hear from you in the comments. What's moving in you? What came through for you from your body in this beautiful meditation that Baljit shared? Feel free to write in the comments here on Zoom, in the comments on YouTube, whatever you might want to share about your experience. We would really love to hear. And I'll read a couple that are here. So, one person said, "Thank you so much. I received 'You are safe,' and the hand on my sacral was buzzing and tingling so strongly. So grateful." That's really, really beautiful. And another person said, "My message, simply witness me and actually see me."
Mm.
Another message, "Keep on drumming." That's beautiful. Yeah. And um, somebody said, I heard about sex growing up, but not sexual energy.
Mm.
Right. And that's, yeah, that's like a whole other conversation we could get into is like, what were we told about this as kids or as
Yeah,
teenagers? There's so many crazy versions
yeah,
of what sex is and what it means for us and how to work with that in our lives that we were given.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. All
Yeah.
these beautiful messages.
And your womb space is the wisdom keeper. I love that.
Mm.
Thank you all for these beautiful shares. Let's see. And here's one more comment I'll read. I received, "I need to direct the sexual energy. No more healing is needed right now. The energy just needs where to go. It's waiting on me. Start creating."
Love.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, everybody, if you have enjoyed what Baljit has shared here in this little, like she said, it's just a little snippet
Yeah, that was
of
like a
what it's called.
smidgen.
If you have enjoyed this today, we are really excited to share with you that Baljit is going to be teaching a course coming up on the Quantum School. And I would love to tell you a little bit more about that. So I'm going to share my screen here and we will share with you about it. So this is a 4-week course that is called the Akashic Path of Sacred Sexual Empowerment. It is beginning 2 weeks from the date we're recording this. It's beginning on December 15th. And in this course, Baljit will guide you to awaken your inner fire, glow brighter, and uncover your deepest gifts. So we are just really, really delighted to bring this to you. I can tell it's going to be so powerful. And this time, as we're moving into the solstice time at the end of the year and opening up to the new year, what better time could there be, right? To allow these shifts and changes and kind of revolutions to occur within you and within your own body and your life force and your beingness. So we're just delighted to bring this. And Baljit has a beautiful quote here that I'll read as we begin sharing. So many of us have been taught to live from the neck up, floating above the body, over spiritualizing or ignoring our deepest desires. But what happens when you come home to your body, your fire, and your pleasure? Everything shifts. And I know that's a beautiful statement of your intentions for this course, Baljit. So that's
Yeah,
beautiful. So could you share with us why is this course extra important right now?
yeah. I definitely feel going into 2026, this is a time of expression and creation, and that requires embodiment. And I truly feel like we are on this precipice to um, really express our gifts and our talents. And sexual energy is such a primary thing around that. It has to do with our visibility and the calling to show up. And when I mean visible, it doesn't mean that you have to be out on stage and, out there. For some of you, it might be doing it, from your own room. But this is about really showing up in your body and expressing your gifts. And sexual energy reflects all of that. And for many, some people are really called to deepen that self of connecting with their relationships or calling in their partner or healing family patterns. Everything is all very interconnected. So it's this deepening and innate calling of like, no, it's time to rise. And in order for us to rise, we can try to rise all we want, but if we're so disconnected from our sexual energy, it's going to hit harder. So next year just definitely like intuitively feels like it's time to express. So this is a great way to um, really fast track that energy, but also see how that reflects in all areas of your life. Because you might discover this whole new part of yourself that was hidden this entire time, and you're like, wow, I had no idea that, for example, I wanted to paint. And this is what I'm supposed to just be in a gallery. You have no idea till you start connecting deeply to this part of yourself and building safety. We all want to feel safe, right? So safety is key, especially with what's going on collectively in the world. It's very, very important to connect to this deeper part of ourselves because we're also creating safety within our body.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's a part of this bigger awakening, that we're studying the ancient cultures and we're remembering our past lives. And this part of our power was so important to the ancient cultures, the ancient rituals and ceremonies in the temples, and it's been so suppressed.
Yeah.
And it's like this is such a key piece of what we're here to awaken right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, I know you weave in the Akashic Records and the wisdom of the soul through the records. So could you tell us a little bit about how that will be woven in with the course?
Yeah. So, for those of you that don't know the Akashic Records or haven't really explored it, the Akashic Records are the records of your soul. It records every word, thought, action, event, and it's like an etheric library. So, it's going to be different, from a psychic readings. When you go to a psychic, you're told one trajectory, but the reality is we have many trajectories. We can choose the least joyous path, the mediocre path, or the most joyous path to evolve, to learn the lessons and themes in this life. So I like to say instead of always having to go through struggle and getting the 4x4, which is the least joyous path, the reason why I like to use or involve the Akashic records is to bend time and energy, but to really get to the root cause of why things are happening, right? So when we look at the different themes in the Akashic Records, and you'll see in the modules of this programming, we go into that Akashic space, which you're able to access. I'm just going to guide you through that. You'll get to the root cause of what's causing the pattern. or where may you been misdirecting your sexual energy versus just something that's coming from the headspace. It's like when you open up your records, you're actually receiving the deepest level of truth. We all have the ability to access it with proper training, with proper um, guidance as well to receive that information and healing. So it's a very profound, multi-dimensional way of healing and but also integrating information and moving forward so that you're not just stuck in a pattern loop.
Beautiful. That's really, really powerful as a part of this whole journey.
Yeah.
So we invite you all, everybody, to come to this page and check it out at your own pace if you would like to. I'm going to scroll through
Yeah.
some of these pieces, and I know that Anna has put the link in the chat, so you can find the link in the chat. And if you're watching this later as a replay, you can find the link in the description field right below. And so many important things are noted on this page, so definitely come check them out. But I will just share this part, right? If you're ready to shift from dimming down to instead living as a radiant expression of your true essence, this is the place. This is the place for you. Is there something you would like to say about that in particular, Baljit?
Yeah, this is a big one. Like when I say dimming down, we all have versions of how we dim down, right? But it also relates to how our nervous system responds to feeling safe in the body. So this can be things that you've noticed working with women, or maybe you've got an energy that you're working through where it's to do with the threat energy. You may feel like you're a threat to other women or a threat to others, or you feel threatened by others. And this is just an example. When threat comes in on some level, it's actually activating our sense of safety in our body. And so this is where we can dim our light down to feel safe. And so as as we're going through this program, um, I also look at it also from a lens of different levels of trauma responses because I'm also trauma informed. And this piece is really important because you can do so much healing in the Akashic Records, but it's also looking at how you're showing up in your body. So supporting you to kind of see the threads there of safety and helping to rewire the nervous system like in a somatic way as well. And so that's what's going to allow you to do less dimming and more shining.
Amazing. We all need that.
Yeah.
Accessing our more radiant selves.
Yeah.
So I want to share a little bit about some of the beautiful logistics of the course, everybody. There will be a private Facebook group where you can receive support from Baljit and also connect with the amazing other students who will join this course. And so that will be a really wonderful benefit of the program. And I will tell you about the meeting dates and details here. So there will be 4 classes on December 15th and the 29th. There's a break week in there for the holidays,
Yeah.
and January 5th and 12th, 2026. So this is bridging that portal from 2025 to 2026 in a really beautiful way. And these will be live Zoom classes where you will get to be live with Baljit if you're able to attend at the scheduled times. And there will be Q&A, there will be time for interaction in the classes. And if you can't attend live, that is also okay because we record every class. We will send it out to you as soon as we can after the class is complete. So if you're in a time zone that these times don't work so well, it is okay. You can still receive everything in the class. And the classes will be held on Mondays at 1 p.m. New York time. So you can take a look at where that is in your own time zone. That will be for the live class. And as I said, recordings will always be made available. Now we want to tell you about the modules here, which are just so beautiful. And I see you have the encoding of the sacred geometry in these modules, which is just amazing. So, module one is called Healing What Dims Your Light, as we were just speaking about. So, can you share what people will receive and experience in module one on December 15th?
Yeah, so we're really going to go into narrowing down what is that thing that is dimming your light. So, is it to do with ancestral patterning? Is it with cultural? Is it societal? Is it collective? Is it parental? Um, and all that to do with your sexual energy. And we're also going to go into clearing any vows, promises, any conscious or subconscious agreements that have dimmed you down. We don't think about vows and agreements being so powerful, but they really are. When we make a vow to someone, or as a kid, that, for example, that you'll never allow yourself to be visible again. Maybe you actually experience sexual violation. And then that vow sticks like glue. And, or even marital vows, or maybe you had a purity vow. You were, in a very deep religious programming to not have sex before marriage. All these different vows, subconscious, conscious promises that we've made as a younger child or a younger adult, that really has impact in how we show up and also dimming our light. So I feel like I'm needing to amplify that energy for whatever reason. Because if we have these vows or promises, then subconsciously we don't allow ourselves to move forward, even though consciously we're like, I want to do this, I want to be there, I want to be out there. But for whatever reason, it's just not happening. Releasing any energetic cords and patterns that interfere with your sexual power. That's a major one too. So sometimes there's energetic cords and patterns that are in the way. And so just doing a nice sweep there. Um, and yeah, allowing that to create space. And that's just the first day one of the module.
Just the beginning.
Yes,
Yes.
it's open to men and women.
Okay. Yes. Good to know. Thank you for that question, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. And then module two will be on December 29th, and it is called Awakening Your Inner Fire. So, could you tell us more about that, Baljit?
Yeah. So week two, we go even deeper around our sexual energy, exploring our self-doubt. Well, like, where do we dim that inner fire in our lives? Grief is a big one. We don't think about where we may have felt grief in our life. And this is not just grief over death of a past loved one, and it can be that, but it's also grief of, maybe your early adulthood, grief of something that has not been fully processed, and it could be your inner child that never actually got to feel safe, to feel held and supported. And so when we have unprocessed grief within ourselves, um, it also lets us know that there's a part of us that hasn't fully allowed ourselves or give ourselves permission to feel that pain. And so this is going to be kind of like a thawing out process. So in a more trauma informed perspective, it's like any parts of you that have felt frozen in the freeze response, we're now shifting it into the fight or flight, which is like, at least it's the thawing response. So think of it as, your leg has fallen asleep because you're sitting cross-legged, right? And then when your leg's fallen asleep, there's no, it's like there's no blood flowing. So in order to get the blood flowing, we gotta uncross our legs, right? So this is the part where the legs are being uncrossed. But what happens when the legs get uncrossed? We've got the pins and needles in our legs. So this is the sacred space to actually be like, oh, I actually feel safe now to feel what my perhaps inner child was not able to fully process. Even logically, I knew this is what happened, but emotionally and physically, I can now finally like feel this and be with this without judging it. and be able to thaw that out. So this is the thawing out process.
Okay, very powerful. And that analogy of the, when your leg falls asleep, it feels very important to
Because we
consider it
all,
on that.
yeah, we all want to go from uncrossing our legs to like full blood
Like
functioning, but
we're
this
running
is,
across the
yeah,
street. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, but we can have patience with ourselves with that
yeah,
analogy.
yeah.
Okay, and then module 3 will be held on January 5th, and it is called Embodying Your Power. So could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so this is where we're now going to dive into more of the somatic practices to integrate you embodying your power, which I'm super stoked. So we kind of started off with the Akashic stuff, with the etheric stuff, and then we're getting the energy body ready. As we get the energy body ready to feel safe, this is where the integration happens and the thawing out. So now we go into more of the somatic practices to bridge the safetiness in the body. We can't start with any somatic practices um, right at the beginning till you kind of really identify what's been going on. And so you're going to receive all these tools to start creating embodiment and connecting with your sexual energy in a safe way and just noticing on a day-to-day life like, oh, I feel different. I feel different in this interaction. I feel different in how I'm speaking to this person. I feel different with how I'm facilitating in this moment. And so you're going to receive all the tools to really set you up to start bridging what you've been doing in the first and second module and start integrating that in module 3. So this is more of like integration.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And then our final class will be on January 12th, Module 4, Expressing Your
Mhm.
Gifts for this new era of collective healing.
Mhm. And so through that, we're going to really go back into the Akashic Records um, around what those gifts are. And also, there'll be some somatics practices as well within that. But receiving the information from the Akashic field and your sexual energy of what your energy wants to do next. So this is great because we're going to be starting 2026, the new year. I know everyone's like new year, new year, but this is like setting intentions, right? It's like, what are my intentions moving forward? How do I want to express myself? So now that we've done all the clearing and the integration, this is all about, okay, what's the next step? What is it that wants to come through me? What's the wisdom through my womb space or my sacral space that wants to express? And that will allow you to just move forward after the program.
Okay, so beautiful. I can see this full arc of transformation that is happening over these 4 modules.
Yeah.
And it's really so powerful. Thank you, Baljit, for bringing this to us. Is there anything that you want to say as summing it up after,
Yeah.
you know, talking
So,
about the
yeah, definitely. I talk about that everyone is different on a different journey. So energy follows intent, and really this program is catered to whoever is really, you can set your own intentions of what it is that you want to receive out of this. And it may just be like for your own personal healing and you're not ready to put yourself out there, and that's totally fine. You will know. Like I said, everyone's on a different path. Everyone is so unique. Um, and also the power of the collective coming together as well. It's going to be even more powerful because we're all like moving forward. And there might be stuff that comes up that feels very personal for you. So just know that, when you're in this space, you can allow yourself to be seen and heard and be really gentle with yourself because we are in this beautiful collective container. And because we're moving through this energy, it can bring a lot of stuff up. So just know that you are held and supported. I feel like that's really important to say because um, it's important to not, I always say don't fuck through it because it doesn't work that way. You have to have so much compassion and gentleness with yourself, no matter where you're at. So this program is for anyone that just feels called. You will know because this is about your own inner and outer expression.
Yes, I can see how this is going to be so powerful as a collective experience for everybody in the group to be witnessed and honored and be able to share and also see others in their process and not feel alone in this.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's so important. I know that's why you're having the Facebook group as well for more of that
Yeah.
community experience.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So the true value of this course is 897 US dollars. And I would say so much more than that, right? How can you put these things into a dollar amount, really? It's priceless. Truly, truly, it is. And we are just delighted to share that Baljit is offering this on a donation basis in this beautiful spirit of sacred economics and financial sovereignty of everybody who will be called to be a student of this course. And we really want this course and all of our courses at the Quantum School to be accessible to everyone who feels called to join. We don't want you to be limited by financial circumstances at all. And we know that from experience that there will be those who donate the full regular price, and there will be those who are not able to do that and will give less. And whatever the donation is that truly feels right for you in your heart, and that is aligned with what you need right now financially and as far as this course is concerned. Really trust that. And we are very delighted to receive the amount that is right for you and to come and engage with Baljit and receive this beautiful wisdom. So when you feel ready, come here, sense into what donation amount is really right for you, feels right in your heart and soul, and then you can click on this button here to send that in and you will be registered for the course. Now, please note that registration closes on December 8th at the end of the day. So be sure to register no later than December 8th. You don't want to miss out on this amazing opportunity. All right. So with that, I will stop the share here and we can go to Q&A. And I would love to know, what are your questions, everybody, whether it's about the course or whether it's about anything else that Baljit covered today.
Mhm. Yeah, and I will say it is for men and women, so all genders. So yeah.
Beautiful. Heather is asking, how long are the classes?
So they're usually for an hour, and then I usually leave like a 15-minute container just to give it some space for Q&A after the call. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, beautiful. And Ross is asking, how long will access be for? So your access will be for at least 1 year after signing up. And if we can make it longer, we will, but definitely at least 1 year. We want you to have plenty of time. We're not going to take it away 2 months from now or anything like that. So I want you to have plenty of time to take the course.
Yeah.
And Patricia Marie says, what an offering, Baljit. Deeply moved by this exemplification of giveaway and blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. So KD said, perfect timing for this class. Stepping into 2026 with all the changes happening with Mother Earth, women will be needed to step more into leadership roles to guide love forward. I love that. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts about that. And Mondi says, this is phenomenal. So perfect. That's wonderful. Glad it is resonating with you all. And Baljit's work is just so beautiful and so deep and life-changing. So we're really excited that you're enjoying it.
If you're not on Facebook, um, and there's a question that's coming forward like during the modules, you can send an email and I will bring it forward into the next call right before we start the next module, just so that um, everyone benefits. Um, Someone just asked if we're not on Facebook. So I will respond as well. And also depending on the question as well, I'll bring it back into the containers so that everyone's able to receive from that. So hope that helps. Let me just look at the questions here.
Yeah, Lana has an interesting share
Yeah,
here.
I was just looking at that. I've never actually asked about the halls of a mentee. The way that I was taught the Akashic Records, I was taught, oh my God, way back in 2008, and I used to be a teacher for many years of the Akashic Records. So I never really was guided to ask about the halls of a mentee, and um, yeah, it just never for me personally, I've never been asked to go into that and see the connection within that. What's beautiful is that in the Akashic Records, I mean, all the guidance and answers are within that, where you can get information directly um, about pretty much anything. And there's so much that you can ask about. I usually focus a lot of what's happened in this lifetime. I mean, I used to do past life regression as well. It's very rare, and you'll notice in when you do the modules, like you might have something come up that is past life interference that can arise. But also know that when you're clearing something within this lifetime, it's also clearing with all the other lifetimes in reality. So it's very, very multidimensional. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lana also had this beautiful comment. She said, I got a message that, well, so from the beginning here, when I began to meditate and try to grow up my spirituality, I stopped making love. I got a message that spirituality and the physical side are connected to each other. Sexual energy is a powerful life force energy. The sun and the earth make love, and it is not bad. And that's so
Mm,
true. It's so beautiful.
chills. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? I love that. Beautiful share, Lana.
And I love how nature tells us everything we need to know. That's really so true. That's like the epitome of the sacred masculine and sacred
Yeah.
feminine coming together is the life
Yeah.
force of the sun coming
Yeah.
to the earth
Yeah.
and creating all this life.
Beautiful. Michelle, you said I'm already in therapy for complex trauma every 2 weeks. Would your course be safe to do? Yeah. And obviously do it at your own pace. So if you're doing other kinds of therapy, if you're on medication and stuff like that, working in the records is actually great to assist with what you're already doing. Um, and also trust your intuition. I really do believe that sovereignty is such a big thing. So if you feel like, oh, I'm not ready to go into module two because I just had a therapy session and I feel like this is going to blow my energy open, trust your intuition. Very important to not force this. So really feel into your gut with what you're being guided to do. And sometimes it's actually good to just sit in the module, like just sit in the energy, in the Akashic energy, and just receive. And then you can play it again the next time when you're ready to go deeper to support you in the process. So, yeah, that is another way of working through that. So, great question, though. Thank you for asking, Michelle.
Yeah, that is a great question that others may be wondering about as well. So thank you for asking it, Michelle. Jenny said there is ancestral trauma around sexuality and incest. I've known
Mm,
that it is mine to clear. My message is to let my natural sensuality be. I don't
mm,
need to keep connecting with the past wounds.
mm. Beautiful. Ooh, powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting even after today how you all feel. Just even after this call, just notice the subtleties as well. Notice who calls you, notice who messages. Sometimes it's like when you clear, it's like the last threads of what you've unhooked yourself from. It could be, a past lover or something that just was like, hey. And so just kind of take note, and just observe, just be in observation, because the purification is happening as well. So it's this work is very potent. It's very subtle, but also very deep.
Yes, look for the changes in your existing reality
Yeah.
already. And even more once you start attending the course.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other questions, everybody? We welcome you to put in any questions that you might have in the chat. I'm checking YouTube as well. I don't see any over there. And if you're watching this later, definitely put your questions in the YouTube comments. We will read every question. We will reply to you. So don't hesitate to write your questions there. This is
Amazing.
a beautiful comment from Stephanie that I'll read.
Yeah.
She says, "Thank you, Baljit. It has often been reflected to me that I easily access above and that I need to work on embodiment. The way you hold space for speaking about sacred sexuality, embodiment, and how we can heal is so powerful. And thank you to Jocelyn, Kathleen, and Anna and the Quantum School for making this possible."
Yeah,
So,
thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you, Jocelyn, Anna, Kathleen. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
yeah, thank you, Baljit, for all of this. So I think that's all the questions popping up for now, everyone. We hope that you have enjoyed this beautiful presentation today. It has been so powerful to be with you, Baljit. Thank you again and again for bringing a
Pleasure.
deep, deep wisdom.
Thank you for creating this beautiful container, and thank you all beauties, and thank you for everyone that showed up today. So many blessings to you all, and I'm so stoked for this next container of the program. I'm super excited. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yes, we are so excited for your course to begin. And everybody, just remember that if you would like to attend Baljit's course, be sure to sign up no later than December 8th and sign up as soon as possible so you can receive the welcome materials and just start being in the space already. We can't wait to welcome you in. Yeah, so thank you, Kathleen and Anna, again for being here and for all that you do. Much love to you and much love, Baljit. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
you too.
And so much love to all of you out there, everybody around the world attending live and also those watching this later as a replay. We all are sending so much love your way and hope to see you in Baljit's course very soon.